Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hi, this is Elaine Brewster, and this is Aspects of Energy, a forum where we talk about ways that we can raise our energy. And we have a really special guest on today, Bruce Black. And some of you may know that he and his brothers created, a wonderful, huge camera chain in Canada. And then he found about natural energy products that can help for healing. And he has been in that company for 24 years. That's about the same time that some of us on this call have. And anyway, so we're just going to hand it over to Bruce Black and let him share this journey with us so we can take a little bit of this journey with you, Bruce.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's talk about the Black family. I'm the youngest of 5 siblings from the marriage of Edie and Eddie Black. I was born May 9th, 1941 into this family. And at that period of time, it was the war years. So my early years with the family was up at our grandmother's farm because nobody was working. Everybody was trying to make ends meet in Canada. So we stayed with my grandmother, and we were farmers for right to the end of the war. And then after the war ended, my dad ventured into the appliance business and was very successful. His name was Eddie Black. Eddie Black Limited was a very popular name in appliances from about 1948 to about 1953. Let me just digress back to 1946, because when my dad was working at another company on the main street of Toronto, was Yonge Street. We were at really the center of Toronto, Yonge and St. Clair. The King and Queen were coming to Canada in 1936, and Kodak wanted to take advantage of that location. So they came to my dad, who was working there, and they gave him film and cameras and so on and so forth to put in the window to see if there was an interest. And there was. And during that period when the royal couple was here in 1936, Dad sold a ton of cameras and a ton of film, all on consignment from Kodak. So he wasn't out a dime. And he fell in love with, in those days, it was 16 millimeter movies. And so I remember when I was very, very young, Dad would come home with these movies that he'd just taken wherever he was on trips and around Toronto, and we would have a movie night, and Dad would put these movies up. So that's the photographic bug getting into the family through my father and his relationship with Kodak. So in 1959, I was only, 18, 17, something like that. My brothers decided to branch off into the photo business, and they started at the back of one of Dad's appliance stores. And then from there, it blossomed into a chain of stores. And several things came together in the 50s and 60s. The Germans were controlling the camera market, the 35 millimeter camera market in those days, but it was very expensive. And most people had very simple box cameras. The Japanese came into the market about 1960, 61 with their inexpensive 35 millimeter cameras. And we were in that whole boom when that happened, the 35 millimeter photographic business. So we joined hands with companies like Fuji and Secure and other large Japanese companies selling equipment, and then getting into the photo business. We were the first company in Canada to produce with high-speed equipment 4x6 prints. So 4x6 prints are a natural size print now. If you're going to get it done from a local store or get it done on the internet, it'd be 4x6. We were the first company in North America to do a 4x6 print. That's where we made our great growth, was from about 1963 through 1985 when we sold the business, and we were offered cash we were a public company, Black Photo. We were offered cash for shares. And so we sold the business, and the family made a lot of money. My older brothers retired. I was only 40, what was that, 1985? So I was 44.
Mm.
And I had things to do and places to go with a lot of money. And the problem with a lot of money is you get yourself out of focus as to what life's all about. And I got into buying things, buying companies, which I shouldn't have bought. And through a period of 3 years, I pretty well dashed any money that came to me from the sale of the company. I probably had maybe 10 cents on the dollar left, plus a marriage that after 19 years, my wife, because of, I guess, where I was going with my mind, she didn't want to be there. So I can remember this date to the exact moment. It was September 30th, 1988. I got a phone call at one of the companies I owned, which was in deep trouble. And the call said that my wife was on a plane with someone, and they're going to Ottawa. And that whole, I can feel the stress, actually, just talking about it. I collapsed on the floor with a major heart. This is called a heart block, not a heart attack. Heart block meaning that the connection between the brain and the heart blew up. There was no circuitry to the heart, so the heart wasn't beating. And I was unconscious on the floor. It so happened my brother happened to be coming into this office, and he saved my life. He phoned the ambulance, and I was rushed to the hospital, and they discovered this heart block. And from that moment to this moment, I wear a pacemaker, which is this electronic connection from the brain to my heart. I lay in that this is where the Satori, or the awakening, happened. Was I was in the hospital and saved for some magical reason because of my brother. I started to question, why am I still here? What's my purpose? Why did this happen to me? And this went on for 3 or 4 days because I was in the hospital, obviously, for about a week or so. And this voice kept talking to me. It wasn't a voice, it was just annoying. It said, love is this, love is that, love is this. And it would come to me in the middle of the night. I thought I was going nuts. This thing, love is this, love is that. I had to find out. I've heard it. I've heard this phrase or this thing. I've heard it in church. Mostly at weddings. So anyways, I checked out. This was a week. They checked me out of the hospital. I was perfectly fine, healthy-wise. So it drove me crazy. I'm trying to find what this all meant. So this was on a Saturday. I drove around Toronto like a maniac, trying to find out from the stores and so on. Libraries. Nobody knew what it was. And there was this. I pulled into this church lot. It was a Lutheran church, I think. And I went into the office. Nobody was there except the secretary. And I said, "Do you know where I could find this chapter, this thing? I don't know what it is. Love is kind, love is forgiving." She said, "Oh yeah, that's Corinthians 1:13. I said, "I gotta have it." She said, "Well, look, I'll just go to the Xerox and Xerox it to you. Or give you a Xerox of it." So I took that and I read it in the car. And I had what we call a catharsis. I had a complete just a breakdown. I was just crying in tears and shaking. And that was my moment of, my first moment of enlightenment as to I was going in the wrong direction. I was going for the money and the fame and the success, and I missed it. And I was saved for some reason to realign myself to go in another direction. So from that moment, I decided I'm going to take a personal growth course and find out, what direction should I take? And I went to this course called Life Streams. It's still around, I think. It's much like PSI or other personal work programs. And I went to that, and I met a lovely lady there who was in my group. Her name was Edie Nolan. And Edie she looked at me and I looked at her, and I don't know what it was all about, but there was something going on between the two of us I couldn't quite explain. So I continued with the course and continued to be wrapped up with the course. And I became a trainer or an assistant. And so I was involved with it because I was going in the right direction. I felt good. My health was good. And so, and I became more friendly with this girl, Edie Nolan. And eventually one thing led to another, and we started to live with each other. She came to my place. I went to her place. But it was she had just come off a bad 6-year relationship, and I just came off a 19-year marriage. We weren't interested in getting married. We were just interested in hanging out. So that was where we're at. So Edie is an interesting person. Unfortunately, she's left me 4 years ago. She passed away. But she was always in the eclectic. She was always looking for spiritual stuff that I wasn't. And she went to what would you call it, a soothsayer or a person who reads your mind. And she came back to me and said, I just ran into this guy, and he said, you're going to meet 2 guys and they're going to lead you to another business. And I said, oh yeah, sure. That's whatever you think, Edie, whatever you think. I got a call from a real estate agent who was selling my house. He said, would you be interested in water filtration? I said, well, I drink water on the tap. He said, well, look, I'm going to hook it up under your sink. You try it. And I did, and it was great. The water was great. And I said, I'll buy it. He says, well, look, would you do me one favor? Would you come to a meeting? I went to a meeting, and here we are, network marketing. Okay, the company was the NSA. I don't know if you've heard of that name, NSA. They're still around. And so me and this real estate agent started an organization at NSA. It didn't go anywhere because everybody was in water filtration. You know, it wasn't one of a kind. So a couple of months, maybe a year later, one of the fellows I met at NSA, I had an office there in their local office, and this guy was named Mike DiMuccio, and we became very friendly. And I was playing tennis at my brother's tennis court up north of Toronto, a town called Caledon. And I fell and slipped on the court and just really buggered up my right knee. And I couldn't walk it was limping, and I had crutches and so on. And this is going on for months. And I was telling this fellow, Mike DiMuccio at NSA, I got this knee problem. And he said, I think I got something to fix you. And I said, yeah, sure you do. You know, you're in the water business, I'm in the water business. Well, sure you do. And I sort of laughed it off. He pulls out from his pocket a gold credit card. At least to me, it looked like an American Express card. He said, would you do me a favor and put it on your knee? I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, look, you've got nothing to lose. I said, okay, put it on my knee. And I felt a funny humming feeling in my knee. It was kind of a buzzing thing. He said, don't worry about that. So he held it down on my knee for about 2 minutes. He said, now, would you get up and walk around? I said, I can't do it. He said, do it anyway. So I did it anyway. The pain went away. I had months of this problem with this knee. I went over the top. I said, where did you get this thing? He said, well, there's a new company coming to Canada called Nikken. And I said, I'm in. I can sell this stuff because this thing works. So I got involved with Mike DiMuccio and Ron Melezes and Bo Tanis. We got a network going, and 24 years later, he became one of the leaders in the business, and still to this day are marveled at what magnetic energy does for the body, and why it's so obvious that we are pulling ourselves away from nature. And this brings us back to nature, because it's the field, it's what's in the earth, it's what's all around us. What makes the universe go is the magnetic field. So it was a natural, and the greatest years of my life were better than the camera business. The Nikken business has been a wonderful business. I eventually sold the business to Bo Tanis about 6 years ago. And although I was sleeping better and no aches and pains, I was tired a lot. I was overweight still. I was probably around 230, 240. It was, and I was still not, something was wrong. Something wasn't right. And it was there. Edie and I were living in Vancouver, West Vancouver at the time. And she said, why don't we see this chiropractor, not chiropractor, naturopath, who's a long distance runner. And I said, I want to meet somebody that's fit. So we went to this naturopath, and he said, yeah, Bruce, eating has a lot to do with what's going on here. Why don't you get off the meat and then go to fish and go to something that's lighter and see what happens? And I kept going back and forth with this naturopath for a couple of years. And then, I lost the weight. I got down to 100, 205, 210. But on these, every 3 years, I would be rushed to the hospital with a heart attack. It was a mild heart attack, but it still was a heart attack. And therefore, they would put stents in you, right, when you have a heart attack. So every 3 years, it was like clockwork. Edie, get me to the hospital. Let's do the stents. This went on for 2 years in Vancouver, 1 year in Toronto, every 3 years. So I'm saying, I'm feeling better. I lost the weight, but I'm still, something's wrong. And we decided to go to a Deepak Chopra event in Toronto. And this was about 5 years ago now. And he was serving food, at lunch and whatever. There was no meat in it. There was no dairy in it. It was all Ayurveda. I guess that's what the Indians eat. And I wasn't getting the tightness in the chest. I wasn't getting out of breath. I was feeling much better. I said, I got to know more about this. So we got a couple of books. We went to Deepak Chopra's event at his home base in California, and we got more information. And both of us got on this thing, and we thought we'd beat it. I felt great, 100%. Until Edie started getting these attacks where she'd lose her balance, and she had an aneurysm that was developing, and we knew about it, and we did everything right according to this Ayurvedic thing. And unfortunately, Edie passed away of a massive stroke a little over 4 years ago. And it was tragic because she was my life. So, but by bed, she had this book written by Caldwell Esselstyn, right? How to reverse heart attacks and so on. It was a cookbook, and I opened the book, and she had before she passed, she had a marking on the front cover saying introduction. So I read the introduction, and the words that popped out of me was no oil. No oil. My God, we were oiling salads, we were oiling everything. And he says no oil. That was 4.5 years ago. I've been off oil ever since. There's been no issue with my heart. My blood work is perfect. I'm 175. I'm over the top on this whole program. I think this is a new venture for me. I think this is a new enlightenment for me. I think I found out what enlightenment is. Before enlightenment, I didn't know that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I was going on with life, assuming that you do certain things and you're happy. And then I had this thing where I had the problem with a heart block. And so I understood that I now know that I didn't know. So now I was on an adventure of trying to find out what I should know. And now I know what enlightenment is. Enlightenment to me is open to anything and attached to nothing. I was attached to the money. I was attached to a lot of things in my life that I don't it doesn't bother me anymore. I've let it all go. And I think that maybe that's our mission in life, is surrender about knowing something and being right about it and letting it go. Because sooner or later, we're going to let it go. Eh? When we die, we let everything go, don't we? So I think that's probably, in my concept, my road to enlightenment has been letting go of stuff that I should have let go years ago, but I've been wise enough to let it go. And since that's happened, since I've let things go and judgment go and things of that nature, it's like row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I think that's it. You can put labels on it, you can put religion on it, you can put whatever you want to put on it, but if you don't row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, you're fighting the current. It makes perfect sense to just let it go, let the boat go, let it go where it goes, and love it and let it go. And so that's my story. So I don't hear anybody. I guess, is the volume off or what? We don't know.
No, I was on mute. Sorry. I
Oh,
think
that's-
that's a great story, Bruce. And
Yeah, I think we all have a story like this where we had a satori or awakening,
yeah,
and,
Yeah.
And we seem to let things go that were important, and now they're not important, and life seems to get easier when you let things go.
it seems so hard for us. Interestingly, that's actually the subtitle of my book on my husband, Scott's Choice, Letting Go and Letting God. In his case, I think what he had to learn to let go was that incredible competitive edge, where whether it was sports or or writing a paper or building a car, it always had to be done perfectly and it had to be done first. And and again, it's kind of what you're saying. What he found was it was two sides of the same coin. Here, the same coin that had served him so well all through college and all through getting his PhD, which is that coin of perseverance and diligence. Then when it's kind of taken to an extreme, then it's not working well anymore. And to let go something that has seemed in the past so useful is hard for us. I think that's really amazing and wonderful that you had that epiphany and that you were able to think about it, and of course have your Edie to help you,
Yes.
to be able to make that change. Cher, it looks like you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that your mic was off. You were muted, but thank you, Bruce, for that. I didn't know. I know your story, but not all of it. It was so beautiful to hear you share today. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if you look back and you say, something, this day I will not judge. It's a tough one. It's the biggest one. But that's what love is. Love is not judging. It's not judging.
Well, and one thing that I thought was maybe for each one of us to let go, it's the hardest thing for us. And the story that came to me was the young man that came to Jesus, and he said, how do I become your follower? And Jesus says, well, what are the rules? What have I suggested? And he said, well, to love God and to love man. And I've done all that. I've done everything. And then Jesus said, well, you're really rich. How about letting all of that go and then follow me? And it says, and the young man went away sad, because he was asked to do the very, very hardest thing for him. We don't know what happens to him in the future. All we know is that one little scripture, but maybe that's what it is it's different for each one of us, and kind of the dinger for each one of us.
It's the money, isn't it? I mean, Christ threw the money changers out of threw them out. Buddha originally was a very wealthy kid, but he saw what Yes, he was the son of one of the wealthiest Indian people, and he just saw what money did. He said, "I've got to get out of here and go to the desert and do my thing." So he walked away from it. So all the spiritual leaders, I think they walked away from money because money can corrupt your soul if you are getting attached to it to the degree where your morals have been broken down. And so money is a dangerous thing. And it wasn't, me getting all that money all of a sudden broke me down because my morals had left me, my sense of stability had left me. And I see that everywhere. I see that in Russia. I see it in the Americans. I see it in Canada. I see it everywhere. People who are falling in love with money for money's sake become corrupt and they've lost their way. The money is important, but only if you earn it because of service. If you don't earn it because of service, then what are you doing? How are you? I mean, I justified the photo business because we gave people memories, right? We gave them pictures of their lives. So
Absolutely.
that was a gift. In Nikken, we gave people their health back. That was a gift. In this, what I'm doing, I'm helping people find a way. The world is not teaching us about nutrition. They're just teaching us about consumption. We've got to change our paradigms to nutrition. We've got to get back to nutrition. We can't just focus on consumption for consumption's sake. And the planet is getting sick. We are getting sick. My gift to you is a Satori, take a look. There's an awakening here about what are we doing with ourselves regarding food and the planet. We got to just step back and say, wait a minute. Turn the TV off, turn the commercials off, turn everything off. I've got to take my health in my control. I got to take control of it. So how do I take control of it? Get an education, find out about what nutrition really is, not what you see on television, what the health care industry wants to tell you. It's owning it personally. And that's the only way I woke up to. I got to own my problems and then find a way to help resolve it. You can't blame the government. You can't blame the health industry. You can't blame anybody. You have to take responsibility. This is the awakening, the big awakening that we have in this planet, is every human being has to say, wait a minute, what am I doing to my body? I see good health, I see good religious people, very kind people, treating their body abysmally. To me, that's not religion. You didn't get it. Christ didn't wander around at 350 pounds. He was in good shape. So what did Christ eat? The church doesn't want to bring that one up, but that's a key factor. What did these great people eat? How did they take care of their bodies? How did they, the church doesn't want to go there because that's not business. If you eat the right stuff, it costs you nothing. If you go to the program, you're paying somebody to play with it, whether it's popcorn or steaks or meat or fish. There's a business there, but there's no business in broccoli. There's no business in potato. I mean, there's no big money in potatoes. There's no big money in stuff that grows in the ground because you can do it. We can all grow stuff. So
do you,
anyways, that's my big,
do you happen to have near you any of those books that you've been reading lately? I've got mine, but they're in the other room.
Yeah, sure. I'll just be a second.
Okay. These are some good books. I've read a couple of them. He's probably got more than I've got.
I'm going to give you a website because I think this is probably the most powerful website that you can go to because you can see the medical profession is moving in this direction. So you're going to get honest stuff. It's PCRM. Those are the letters, PCRM.org. Now, this is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. There's 120,000 healthcare professionals involved in this website. They are breaking away from the system. They're going to tell you the truth about what you should do with your health. And so there you're going to get the truth. So that'll lead you in any direction you want to go. PCRM.org is a great website.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because if you go to your doctor and say, okay, you're giving me these alternatives for cancer. If you got anything else, what about, can nutrition help me with my cancer? Can it help me with my blood pressure? They can't answer your question because they've never taken a course in nutrition. They don't know anything about nutrition. They know a lot about pills, but they don't know anything about nutrition. You go to a nutritionalist, okay? She's been trained in nutraceuticals. That's in vitamin E, whatever you buy in a bottle, she's been trained in. That's not the natural food. That's concocted in some factory. Nutrition is like Nikken, like it's the energy in the ground that helps us with our health. It's the energy in the ground that grows plants. We're going back to nature. And so nature is the answer to all our health problems if we just think about it. It's always been there. It's never left us. What's left us is our chance to reason because we've been bombarded with misinformation for 200 years.
I know that I always feel better in August and September when I can just go right outside and pick tomatoes right from my own. Oh my goodness. They taste so different than store tomatoes.
Right.
They're so wonderful.
And what are we doing to the planet? We're killing billions of animals daily. Billions of animals are being slaughtered daily. We're sacrificing land to feed these animals so we can kill them. Where the affluent from all these animals are going into our water systems, or going into our ground. We're poisoning the planet because we were never meant to kill animals. You know, animals were used as a symbol in the Old Testament as a sacrifice. Rather than sacrifice a human being, I'll sacrifice an animal. But they were never part of the culture of eating meat. It was never part of that. So we got mixed up with. And then this thing about protein. Protein is another story that you got to get an answer to. And please go. We think we got to have protein. Well, guess what? Everything contains protein. Every food that you eat in the ground has all the protein you'll ever need. And it's the right protein. It's not the one that you have to, your body has to battle with, which is another animal going into your body. It's your body processes protein from the ground. It's like, to me, this is, I've come to this area where I'm so excited about my evolution and my reasoning now. And that's because of meditation and other things that I do. And eating is the key for me. My mind is clearer now. I can think clearer because I've been eating now for four and a half years. My mind is crisp and clean. It senses stuff. Cher and I are on a mission here. Cher maybe you could tell them about your mission that we're on, Cher.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. No, this is amazing. I appreciate this opportunity to speak here, but I just don't know how you are with time, Elaine. Is this?
Cher and I we're going to try to get through our website. I have a website, letfoodbeyourmedicine.com, letfoodbeyourmedicine.com. And then we have another website, which is PB, plant-based, whole food plant-based nutrition. That's just the oldest letter. WFPBN is another website. Sorry, PBN is not, it's a plant-based support group, right? So it's plant-based, whole food, WFPBSG.com. I'll send that out to you anyway. We want to get a support group going. Canada is way behind what's going on in the States regarding support groups. You guys have got a lot of support groups there. We've got nothing going on in Canada. We need help here. So Cher and we're going to do some work with some people. We're trying to get, I just heard that Cher and I have shared that we got Dalhousie, the University of Dalhousie, their students there are demanding a plant-based food menu. So we're getting the kids excited about going to the universities and saying, look, we're tired of this food. We want our food. So we're going to promote I'll send that out to you about Dalhousie University in Halifax. Our young kids are desperate for, we need to give our kids something, and we're not giving them anything right now, but pain and grief. This food thing, these kids can latch onto it and take this thing where it should be taken. Everybody on this planet, if we shift tomorrow off of meat and dairy and fish and killing animals and gets to whole food, we can change the planet's climate within a year or two. Like, that's how quickly it can happen.
Wow.
That's how quickly it can happen. There's lots to tell you about this. I could spend an hour with it. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to overwhelm you, but please go to pcrm.org and then sniff around. It's exciting. It's exciting. I think, I guess you've heard about the 100th monkey effect. Anybody heard about the 100th monkey effect? The story goes like this. These monkeys on this island were getting bananas from the tree, and they'd fall down into the sand, and they couldn't eat it because of the grit and they couldn't eat it. So one monkey decided to go into the water and swish it around, and he peeled it and he ate it, and the other monkeys on the beach did it. Once the 100th monkey did exactly, all the monkeys on the planet were doing that. All of a sudden, all the monkeys on the planet were washing their bananas in the water before they ate them. This is the 100th monkey effect. So there's a point where there's ridicule, right? Now we're in the resistance stage of Whole Foods. I mean, all of the food guys are resisting like crazy because they're going to lose the cattle business and so on and so forth. And eventually we're going to get to the self-evident part of this. And we're getting very close. Dalhousie University is a prime example that we're getting close to the self-evident. May not be in my lifetime, I don't know, but when we get the self-evident that everyone wants to eat from the ground rather than eating flesh, this planet will be saved. Other than that, we're very close. I think Sharon and I feel the vibration, don't we, Sharon? Yeah, something's going on here. So, yeah. Anyways, I've had it. I've said it.
Wow.
I was just going to ask Elaine, if anyone here is interested, we'd love to accept your emails so that we can share more after this call, because Bruce and I are obviously very excited about this, and we want to just support people in their wellness, and it's all rooted in nutrition is what we believe. So yeah, we'd be happy to share more if we can stay connected with this group, with anyone that's interested.
What's your email, Cher? And then they could contact you.
I think we should use, Bruce, the one that you have.
Right, and I'll lead you to, just use my email, bruce.h.black@gmail.com. And I will lead you to our support group websites and the educational website, which is letfoodbeyourmedicine.com. We have two websites. Plus, since I've been 4.5 years in this, unfortunately, we don't have enough Canadians, but there's a lot of American doctors, a lot of American high-profile nutritionists involved. I'll certainly lead you to them if you want, and you can they can help you out. Canada we need, Sharon and I are saying we're going to take Canada here. We're going to try to catch up to you guys.
Well,
that way.
You did Canada with
great
cameras.
Networks.
And after cameras, you did Canada with Nikken, so I don't see why you can't do it with this too.
Well, there's a reason why my brother found me on that floor in 1988. There's a reason he found me.
Yeah.
Everything has a meaning. There's a reason for Scott not being here. There's a reason for all of it.
Yeah.
And we use it, and we become aware of more things. And I believe that behind me is Edie, behind me is my mother, behind me is my dad, behind me is my brothers who have gone. We're here for a reason.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, all of you. I Hope you continue to have a beautiful, beautiful Easter weekend. And, and use that to be of service to other people and to think of how we can help other people and how we can help ourselves so that we can help other people. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce, very, very much. Appreciate that so much. Well, everyone, and go out and find someone that you can smile at, even if it's just over the phone. They will hear it and it'll raise your energy and it'll raise theirs. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Elaine.
For sharing.
Sure.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Ellen.